As a part of work of the UN agencies in Turkmenistan, the UN Regional Center on Preventive Diplomacy in Central Asia, functioning in Ashgabat, a great role in its establishment. Turkmenistan today demonstrates the impressive results in realization of the national plans and the development of the foreign policy aimed at full-fledged cooperation with the UN nations organization. We can regard the visit of the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to Turkmenistan in April this year as one of the most important landmarks. It creates the fruitful character of growing cooperation between UN and Turkmenistan, as well as the commitment of Turkmenistan to continue reforms in the sphere of economy, social spheres and human rights. I'd like to stress that the visit of UN Secretary General in Turkmenistan attached our cooperation the quality new acceleration we successfully implemented for the benefit of the nation of Turkmenistan. This acceleration was vividly demonstrated by the President of Turkmenistan at the summit towards a review on the progress on achievement of the Millennium Goals with the framers of the 65th session of the UN General Assembly, where he said what's the new initiatives of Turkmenistan to be considered by the world community on the strengthening of the international cooperation, such as establishment of the UN Energy Council for a solution of the international strategic supply and specific proposals on the settlement of the situation in Afghanistan, taking into account the neutral status of Turkmenistan.
Мировому сообществу новые инициативы Туркменистана по укреплению международного сотрудничества, такие как создание энергетического совета ООН для решения проблемы международных поставок энергоносителей и конкретные предложения по урегулированию ситуации в Афганистане с учетом нейтрального статуса Туркменистана.
Taking part in the last 65th session of the UN General Assembly and moving forward the new initiatives, Turkmenistan confirmed its commitment to the principle of joint achievement of the progress all over the world and implementation into life of the ideas based in the UN Charter. The active international position of Turkmenistan is shown today in the aspiration to be active member of specialized UN structures. At present, Turkmenistan promotes its candidate as a member of the UN Economic and Social Council, as well as the member of the Executive Committee of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees.
During these 15 years that we have been here, we have developed a very good and a strong cooperation and relation with the government. And we have achieved together with the government quite significant achievements. The government has acceded to the 1951 Refugee Convention. They adopted the refugee law, and the country has helped thousands and thousands of refugees with protection and solutions.
The meeting devotes the discussion of the participation results of the governmental delegation of Turkmenistan head by the President of the country, Kurbanoglu Berdimuhamedov, in the session of the UN General Assembly, emphasized that Turkmenistan, being a neutral country with a great responsibility, realizes its international and legal status, closely and honestly collaborates with the UN structures, implements the resolutions of this authoritative organization. The President of Turkmenistan focused on the position of the country in terms of achieving the Millennium Development Goals promulgated by the UN, which are harmoniously combined with the plans of development of the country and determine the trends of its cooperation on the world arena.
И определяют направление ее сотрудничества на мировой арене.
In the history of the nation, 15-20 years is a short period. These several years of independence seem a short period, but sometimes this short period means a lot in the nation's history. I think that the years of independence have changed a lot in the Turkmenistan and Turkmen people. Today the guests to your country see modern dynamical development of Ashgabat and Turkmenistan.
Все приезжие в вашу страну видят современный, динамичный, развивающий Ашхабад и Туркменистан.
In several days, we will celebrate 19th anniversary of independence of Turkmenistan, which for the relatively short period of time achieved the unprecedented high rates of economic growth, whose gains are allocated to social development of the country.
И я уже год как приехала и
I have been working in this wonderful country for already a year. During this year, I was witness for grandiose inaugurations of industrial and cultural facilities, inauguration of the schools, modern hospitals and polyclinics. We can say what independence gave for Turkmenistan and the Turkmen people in reality.
Туркменистану и туркменскому народу.
Для меня большая честь быть.
As for me, it's a great honor to be part of this process as a UN resident coordinator in one of the key countries of the Central Asian region, Turkmenistan. The UN is represented in Turkmenistan with its 6 accredited agencies. They are UN Development Program, the UN Population Fund, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, the UN Children's Fund, UN Drugs and Crime Office, and the World Health Organization. The representation of the World Bank and International Organization on Migration also operate in Turkmenistan as the UN-affiliated agencies. In this connection, I'd like to appreciate the decision of the government to expand the cooperation with the other UN-affiliated international financial institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund, as well as regional development banks, such as Asian, European and Islamic development banks. We also appreciate the plans of Turkmenistan for expansion of the presence of the UN structures on its territory and support the proposal of Turkmenistan on establishment of the regional center of the UN on the environment for the Central Asian countries of the Caspian Basin, as well as the regional office of Food and Agriculture Organization.
О создании регионального центра Организации Объединенных Наций по окружающей среде для стран Центральной Азии и Каспийского бассейна, а также регионального офиса продовольственной и сельскохозяйственной организации ООН.
The basic priorities determined by the joint activity of the UNICEF and the government of the Turkmenistan for the period up 2015 are the following areas: improvement of health services, in particular, rent to the mother and child in compliance with the international standards, paying attention to the newly born babies and their nutrition, improvement of the quality of education and implementation of the international standards to the system of education, both preschool, secondary and vocational, analysis of improvement of legislative acts tied to the improvement of social policy and the child's rights protection in compliance with the international acts and standards in this area.
Защиты прав детей в соответствии с международными стандартами, актами в данной сфере.
Above all, the UN Day is a day in which we resolve to do more together with other agencies of the UN. UNHCR is committed to continue the cooperation with the government, both in terms of finding solutions for the few refugees who are left, to find solutions for those people who are left without proper documents and who are in need of citizenship to stay in the country and to be part of the development of this country. We are also committed to continue to work on the amendment of legislation, both for refugees and for statelessness issues, to make it in line with international conventions and the requirements of today.
Concerning the future cooperation, the UN will go on rendering its assistance to the efforts of government of Turkmenistan on realization of the national development plans and attainment of the development goals of millennium. According to the esteemed President, they harmoniously fit into the own development plans, coinciding with the ideology and world outlook of reforms of the national economy and social sphere, social relations, and determine in many respects the chance of cooperation of Turkmenistan in the world arena.
Много определили направления сотрудничества Туркменистана на мировой арене.
The United Nations Day is a day where we try, together with our colleagues, to reaffirm our global mission and our global tasks. The values of tolerance, of mutual respect, human dignity. We are happy to see the support from the Turkmen government and the Turkmen people to see that the work we are doing is of importance and has progress.
Туркменистан — это страна, которая связана...
Turkmenistan is a country which reveres its traditions, carefully values the ancient history, develops a centuries-old culture, at the same time commits to a principle establishment of friendly and good neighboring relations in the region and all over the world. It's a country which develops the economy and allocates the wealth for the social prosperity of the people. Turkmenistan constantly confirms its adherence to the principle promulgated by the UN and confirms its actions, the responsible attitude, the issues of cooperation with this authoritative organization. I'd like to congratulate all on the UN Day and on the upcoming important holiday of independence of Turkmenistan.
И с приближающимся знаменательным праздником независимости Туркменистана.
24 октября мы справляем...
On the 24th of October, we celebrate the main holiday of UN International Day. I would like to assure Turkmen people that we will work efficiently and support the performance of the country as we did before. We shall be partners here in Turkmenistan, work for Turkmenistan's and the Turkmen people's good.
Здесь, в Туркменистане, и будем работать во благо Туркменистана и туркменского народа.
We know that it's not only the UN which is celebrating and observing the UN United Nations Day and other days, but we also know that the government here is now going into a very important celebration of the Independence Day. So on behalf of my organization, I want to convey my deepest wishes for the people of Turkmenistan, the government and the president, with hopes for good progress on the development and for good wishes also for the celebrations of the Independence Day.
Хочу поздравить народом Туркменистана с нашим общим праздником и выразить уверенность.
I'd like to congratulate the nation of Turkmenistan on our general holiday and express assurance that cooperation between Turkmenistan and the United Nations will serve in future for the progressive development and prosperity of Turkmenistan.